We have a cyber attack against a Fortune 500 real estate title, insurance, and settlement services company. And we're going to get into what happened and who's involved here in a second. But remember, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and if you're so inclined, hit that notification bell and you'll get notified when we put out videos just like this one. So now that you've subscribed to the channel, here we go. Fidelity National Financial, a leader in the real estate sector, recently disclosed a cybersecurity incident that forced them to shut down the network to contain the breach. And this has led to substantial disruptions in the title, insurance, escrow, and mortgage transactions across the US. This is pretty wild. Hopefully you do not have a house that you're trying to purchase before the holidays, because this could impact whether or not you can make that transaction happen in the time frame that you want. So this gets very interesting. Another attack in the real estate world, which seems to be a fan favorite here of cyber criminals, maybe in the last 3 or 4 months. The breach highlights the vulnerability of even large established companies to cyber attacks. And why do we know about this cyber attack? Because this is a publicly traded company, and publicly traded companies now have to follow certain rules. Well, in a couple weeks they have to follow certain rules that the SEC has laid out, and one of those major sticking points in those rules is that they have to expeditiously file when they have these cyber events. Fidelity National ended up doing this yesterday, which means we're going to find out about these things a lot quicker. And you can check out the filing. We have it linked down below in the description. I'm sure it's popping up here on the screen somewhere, but this is really a big deal and really interesting, and a major challenges that businesses are now presented with. The government, the US government, the federal government, a lot of state governments are starting to take the position that you need to tell us a lot faster than you have been, or even if at all, because a lot of businesses try to brush us under the rug. And that's what these lawmakers have decided is the most important thing that we need to get out of these cyber attacks right now, is we need to know when they happen, and we need to know when they happen really quickly, so we can start to put things in place to defend other businesses and other entities and organizations from getting hit by the same cyber criminal group. So Fidelity National Financial is currently conducting a thorough investigation with top cybersecurity experts. They've also informed law enforcement. Meanwhile, their business operations, especially those related to title insurance and mortgage transactions, are significantly affected by this cyber attack. The attackers gained access using stolen credentials, causing lockups of FNF's operations, and this breach serves as a reminder of the importance of robust cybersecurity measures in all businesses, especially in the real estate sector. Let's talk about what some of these things are that businesses need to start doing, some things that maybe I think businesses are lacking when it comes to cybersecurity, and let's just go through them. So you got to make sure you have regularly updated security protocols, number one. Ensure that your network and systems are updated and free of vulnerabilities. Software vendors, operating system vendors like Microsoft and Apple, they put out regular updates to their systems, to their operating systems. You need to make sure that those are updated, but you also need to make sure your third-party applications like your browsers and your Office application, you need to make sure that they're updated too, because they're also chock full of vulnerabilities. And believe it or not, those software programs can cause your systems to be overtaken by cyber criminals. They don't just have to hack things like Windows and your operating system. Train your employees. I mentioned this a lot on this channel. Make sure you use security and awareness training and train your employees to know what to look out for and know what to do if they cause a problem. No employee ever wants to be the reason that your company gets hacked or has to deal with a cyber event. So please make sure you train them. It increases employee morale, but it also protects your company, and it also keeps you in compliance with a lot of things, especially if you want to file a claim for cyber insurance. Cyber insurance is really requiring you to do this with your employees today, and they expect you to prove that you are doing it. Another thing insurance companies want you to do, and a lot of other regulations out there, multi-factor authentication. Now, multi-factor authentication was kind of the buzzword a couple of years ago, and a lot of people thought that that was kind of like the silver bullet for their accounts not getting hacked. And we know today that that's not true. Multi-factor authentication can be circumvented, or users can be tricked even when this is in place, and cyber criminals have been been dealing with multi-factor authentication for several years now. So they've come up with ways to get around it, or at least try to get around it. So don't rely on MFA as your only layer of protection. You need many layers of protection, MFA being one of them, but it is a critical component and it is required for a lot of compliance needs. Make sure you have regular backups, but more importantly, make sure you're testing your backups regularly. Regular backups and testing them and making sure that they can be restored can determine whether or not A, you can even recover from a cyber attack, and B, whether you have to negotiate with the bad guys in the first place. If you have good backups and you know your data is good, you don't really need to negotiate with the cyber criminals if you're doing this stuff the right way. So it's a big deal. So make sure that you have somebody in your environment testing those backups. Don't just rely on the reports that you get when those backups run. It's critical that somebody tests those backups and make sure that the data in those backups is good and usable for when you need it. Finally, get an incident response plan. This is a big area that I see businesses across the United States where they need to improve because it doesn't exist at all and they don't even think about it. Having a plan, knowing what to do beforehand, having those drills done where you improve upon what's happening. This is why we do fire drills in our children's school, because they want to be able to know what to do when the real event happens. It saves time, it saves potentially lives, and the same thing is true when it comes to a cyber attack. You want to get through one quickly, you want to get through one and be able to continue operating your business. Have an incident response plan, know what to do when something bad happens. If you need help with any of this stuff, folks, there's plenty of links down below where you can get help. Fidelity National, a major publicly traded Fortune 500 title and mortgage insurance company here in the US, has been taken down due to a cyber attack right before the Thanksgiving holiday. Has this impacted your ability to buy or conduct a real estate transaction? Love to hear from you in the comments, and remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe out there.